Okay, let's get started. And once again, welcome and thanks for joining today's session, How to Leverage ProbateCash to Build Your Business, a webinar brought to you by ProbateCash. I'm your host, Molly Driscoll. As a reminder, type your questions in the chat window. The presenters will address questions after the presentation. If your question is case-specific and confidential, please indicate that in the chat and someone will respond separately after this presentation. Our presenters today are professionals with extensive experience in the probate field. Marc Harris is an attorney admitted to the Florida Bar and Southern District of Florida. Marc is also a member of the Florida Bar Real Property, Probate, and Trust Law section. Marc has been working in the specialty finance industry for over 25 years, involved in purchasing of over $100 million worth of assets. Most of his purchases are pursuant to various state laws, require court hearings, many of which Marc has either attended or appeared as counsel. As the CEO of ProbateCash, Marc is now spearheading a relatively new industry of purchasing interest in actively pending inheritance claims from estates or trusts. Bill Gross, aka the LA probate expert, is a renowned expert in probate sales with the real estate sector. Born in Santa Monica and raised in Orange County, Bill has lived in the Inland Empire, San Gabriel Valley, South Bay, and for the last 20 years, the west side of Los Angeles. Bill has been in real estate for over 30 years, closed thousands of transactions, and gives his all to help his customers achieve their goals. And now, without further ado, let's hear from Marc and Bill.
Well, thank you, Molly. I appreciate the introductions, and thank you, Bill, for being a guest here today. So we've talked in the past and done business together, and I think everybody here is fortunate to be able to hear you and your insight. So first of all, we have about 70 people, I believe, on this call. All realtors are from around the country. ProbateCash is a company that provides advances to beneficiaries, heirs of estates who are waiting for their inheritance that's tied up in probate. We've found that's very helpful for realtors because a lot of realtors are representing folks who have listings of estates, there's probates involved. We provide advances during the probate process and even before the probate process can start. The money can be used for whatever purposes the beneficiaries of the estate want, or the intended personal representative who is going to eventually be listing the house. So that's a quick version of what ProbateCash does. And what I really am excited for everyone to hear is Bill, who is the actual, as Molly said, the probate expert and in real estate. So I think it's going to be very helpful. So Bill, thanks for joining us. I know Molly gave you an introduction, but in your own words, tell everyone quickly about yourself.
Sure. So I'm a lifer in real estate. I'm a real estate broker in Los Angeles. Been in business since 1986, so 37 years. I'm a broker associate with eXp Realty. I primarily list and sell homes in Los Angeles County, though I'm building a platform nationally. So I'm familiar with the tools and I would say the principles of probate in most states across the country. They're similar, but I'm particularly an expert in Los Angeles County. And I've used probate advances, ProbateCash, and I'm actually familiar with, I think I did a deep dive on all your competitors. I did a research on all the literature available on the matter. I actually interviewed on my YouTube channel a professor who had written, a law school professor, written legal review articles on the industry. So I think I can say that not only am I an expert in Los Angeles County probate real estate, but specifically using ProbateCash and its equivalents as well. And I use it for my business every day.
Yeah, so tell everybody how you use it for your business and how people can grow their business, which I'm sure everyone is interested in hearing. And what's this ProbateCash thing and being able to get advances, and why do I care as a realtor?
Right. So, I mean, at one level, realtors who are in this space get offered from time to time chances to make additional affiliate money. And it's true that ProbateCash has a program where you advance money, you get a portion of that as a commission. As realtors, you always have to be careful that you want to do things that build the main thing and keep the main thing the main thing. So for me, the main thing is selling houses. So while it's true, there's a commission that ProbateCash pays me when I do an advance. I say there's 4 different areas I use this tool to build my real estate practice. One is with other realtors. There are realtors who call me with a problem in probate. And sometimes the problem requires some money to unwind it, to hire an attorney, maybe do evictions, to fix up the house, to pay off a delinquent loan. And so because I work with the advance company, I can call them up or email them, give them a scenario and get a quick answer and solve the problem and get the money to solve the problem as well. So as realtors, we should always be looking to work together for referrals, maybe outside of our agency, throughout the country, or even within your area. Newer agents bring you leads if you're an experienced agent. And my guess is if you're on this call, you're probably a little more experienced. The second area is with investors and wholesalers, because they are out talking to home sellers and they'll call me and say, hey, found a great property, but the guy who's in it is the grandson and grandma's name's on the property. What do we do? Well, that's really a probate. And what happens, I find, is often the grandson has no money. He doesn't have the couple $1,000s for expenses. He doesn't have the money for the retainer for the attorney's fees. So the probate cash is a great solution to get a quick $10,000 to cover the expenses, the attorney, maybe some extra cash in his pocket. Maybe I had one who needed to buy a car. I had one who needed funeral expenses, whatever it is they want the money for. So investors and wholesalers. And in probate real estate, one way I built my business is marketing to investors and wholesalers. And then I would say the third area would be with attorneys, because I host a program, Probate Weekly. It's Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific. Love to have you sign up. It's free, probateweekly.com. But one of the areas that realtors always try to do is build referrals from attorneys. Well, how do you do that? Well, one way is by getting business to attorneys, bringing them cases. Another is being a solution to them, solving their problem. And so while ProbateCash attempts to, market its service to attorneys, we're realtors, we're salespeople. And often the attorneys in our local market, they might be the spouse of one of our clients. It might be in our Rotary Club or in our church. We have a relationship with them. And so while ProbateCash tries to get to them, we as realtors have a relationship with them already. And by offering attorneys this ability, I just find that it shows to the attorney, I'm serious. How do you tell an attorney you're competent and an expert in probate? Well, one is offering a tool they're not aware of or don't know how to use properly. And so this has been a great kind of door opener for me for relationships with attorneys. And then last is obviously with personal reps and heirs. And so obviously they struggle. They don't like their attorney. They picked them because they had no money and they need some cash. And the ProbateCash is a great way to help them solve their problem. And then they'll pick me to sell the house.
Yeah, that's great. And so some of those reasons that you just discussed, I have, of course, firsthand experience with all of that. We have experience in number one, we do pay, as Bill mentioned, referral fees to realtors, anybody who refers us folks to who need advances and where we actually can do the transaction. Where we have a network of realtors and love to have everybody involved in this call be a part of that network, where we have people who contact us because they're for the first time learning when they want to sell mom or dad's house who passed away, that they cannot sell mom and dad's house because they don't have the letters. Nobody has the letters, and so it can't be listed. That's when we usually get the first phone call. That or a bank teller says, no, you can't drain mom's account because you don't have the letters yet. So next call here. But we then can, number one, they need referrals for realtors to sell the house. So we do provide realtors with those referrals for the listings. Two, if you're in competition to get the listing, one of the things that you can offer that others may not have is when so to get the listing, to win the listing, is the fact that you have the ability to get advance money, get the inheritance money up front. And so personal representatives, even if they're coming to you as personal representative, they've already been named letters and they need to list the house. The personal representatives, as probably a lot of you already know, are getting hounded by the other beneficiaries. When am I going to get the inheritance? When are you going to sell the house? And that is a big problem. That's a lot of pressure for these personal representatives. And we can pay beneficiaries advances against their inheritance. And when we do that, we provide that advance to a beneficiary. It doesn't affect any of the other beneficiaries. It doesn't affect the timing of closing the estate down the line. It's just a transaction, one-on-one probate cash, and the beneficiary taking the advance. The person who is looking to to get letters and retain counsel to open up probate, if they don't have money to open up probate, and the attorney requires a retainer, so depending on what state you're in, attorneys take retainers, or they don't take the case, a lot of them. And that's something you can actually help lawyers. I mean, just like you're marketing, lawyers are marketing. The lawyer gets a phone call from somebody who needs to open up probate, but they don't have money to pay the retainer or cost. That's a bummer for the attorney. They've got to turn that down, and that's money in their marketing they're not realizing. So what we can do is we will advance the retainer fee, so the probate is open, the house can be sold. We wait, of course, till the probate is closed and assets are distributed before we get repaid. But what the lawyer now is realizing their fee up front. The personal representative to be will be a hero and get things moving along. And it takes money. And then finally, as the realtor, oftentimes mom's house, the decedent's house, needs repairs, as you all know, and at $10,000 or $20,000 or so of repairs can put that house into a market rate that could be $50,000, $100,000 more, a higher purchase price, which of course means higher commissions for the realtors. Bill, that makes sense. Is that way, broad strokes, but ways that certainly more ways to use probate cash. And shockingly, cash solves a lot of problems, and that's what we have the cash. It's hooking up with the right people to make the cash the most useful for lawyers, beneficiaries of estates, personal representatives, and of course the realtors.
Yeah, this is one of those tools that along the way, because I researched probate cases and discovered, and I saw it come up regularly, I just asked myself the question, what's the problem they're solving? People need cash. Well, they seem to need cash as often as they need to sell the house. So I better figure out, how to identify that problem as often as I can. And more times I offer to solve that problem, and the better I am at it, the more value I have for my customers. So it's one of those things where, again, I don't know that I would make a career personally, no offense, out of probate cash, but I've definitely have made a big part of my business marketing, the ability to access it to help my clients both in terms. What's funny about this as a real estate agent is it's not even times that I use the program. It's even just knowing about it and offering it that distinguishes me from the competition. Most realtors don't even know about the existence of the product. Most attorneys don't know about it. Those that do have a very limited, often negative sense of it. But when you have the knowledge of the tool, you can really show that to somebody. And I think real estate agents, we settle for like buying a certificate on our email saying we're a probate expert. Well, here's your chance to show somebody that you're an expert by really learning this tool and how to use it properly.
Yeah, thanks. So I know we try to keep these to yeah. Sorry, Molly.
I was just going to say we're almost at that 15-minute mark, and I know we have a lot of questions to get to. So I want to let everyone know the presenters are going to stay on to answer your questions. If you ever have to leave, we will be sending everyone a link to the recording of the presentation and the questions and answers. I did see a few people raise their hand. If you don't mind just typing your question into the Q&A area, we'll make sure we get to it. And the first question we have is, can a person advertise at your company on the probate website?
Yeah, so we actually have had a couple of partners where we've done some advertising. We've been on other people's websites, and then in fact, and I see one person who is on here, and that we have an advertisement on there. And I don't want to say really necessarily an advertisement, but again, it is knowledge. It's there for the website, another tool. And it's just something that people, as Bill said, they don't know about. And when you have something on your website that says, hey, do you need cash right now? So you don't have to wait to sell the house, right? Getting advances on even the purchase price of the house. So yes, absolutely, we encourage it. They call it sometimes like white labels of that, and just a direction that then directs people either to our site or that could that you control. Either way, but it's a great way. And again, we pay referrals for every time somebody does an advance, and sometimes people do multiple advances. And each time they get an advance, we have a system here to make sure that we know where the business originated, and make sure that the proper referrals continue to be paid if there are multiple transactions.
Great. We have another question. If letters have not been distributed by the court, how do you secure the probate cash?
All right, that is an excellent question. So first off, these aren't loans, and they're not characterized as loans. There are no interest rates. We do not do credit checks. We're really advancing. We're taking an interest in the inheritance, and they're non-recourse. So, for instance, if we give a large advance and the house doesn't sell, or it turns out there's a title issue that everybody missed, ProbateCash assumes that risk, and if there's not enough money for us to get paid back, it's non-recourse. We don't get paid back. And as I said, we only are in contract with the beneficiary, so we don't look to other beneficiaries to get repaid. So that takes care of the security interest. For lack of a better phrase, we are unsecured. What we do is we file an assignment of the inheritance with the probate court. And so let's say a beneficiary assigns $20,000 of her inheritance. We file that with the probate court, mainly so the personal representative knows that we are owed the money, and when assets should be distributed, the personal representative knows to call us. But let's say the letters have not been issued. I think that's the question. Yeah. So if letters haven't been distributed, we still have the assignment filed, and so when letters are issued and the personal representative takes over, they will see our assignment filed with the court, and we do that everywhere. Interestingly, Bill's home state in California is the only state in the country that actually has a statute governing inheritance assignments. You can imagine it's pretty consumer protections throughout the statute. We love the statute; it gives us protection as well, but we follow the spirit, if not letter, of the law in every other state in the country, and we do business in all of them. So but it's filing that assignment that gives us, I guess, that security, although they're really unsecured. So it's not a claim against the estate. There are no liens against the real estate. It's just right in the probate.
And we also have another question here about what's the minimum and maximum that someone can get in advance, and what's the fee, and what is the referral to the realtor? So it's kind of a three-part question there.
All right, yeah. So we'll advance, for small retainers, for lawyers, we'll advance as little as $3,000. As far as maximum advances, we are our largest pending advance right now is over $500,000. So there's, and we could go higher. It all depends, and that's to beneficiaries. So for estates, it can get significantly higher just on an estate. So the referral fee for the realtor is also flexible for smaller advances. It could, would be. I should have had that answer right off the top of my head. I encourage you to call me if you have something, but they're anywhere from a few $100s to several $1,000s and more, depending on the size of the advance.
Great. And we'll be giving everyone's contact information at the end of this. So for anything specific like that, as Mark says, please call or email him. Bill, I think
you know what, Molly, one more thing, because I know the referrals are really important, and we want y'all to get paid. And a couple of ways we can work it. We usually pay the referral fee at the time we pay the advance to the beneficiary, meaning the risk is on us. And if we don't get paid back, we don't come back to the realtor and say, hey, remember the couple of $1,000s we gave you? Well, the deal fell through. You got to pay it back. We don't do that. You don't have to pay us. But we would pay a higher referral fee if you were to take the ride with us and got paid back, and we get paid back. So, which probably makes sense to everyone.
Yeah, totally. Bill, I think you went over this, but if you maybe cover it again, how someone could leverage ProbateCash to sign a client, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's two ways. One, obviously, an attorney as well can use the money to eliminate the objection. I don't have the cash. It's not uncommon that the heir, maybe the decedent owned property, but the heir often doesn't have any assets at all. There's some statistic about Americans, how few have $500 cash in the bank, let alone a couple thousand for expenses for probate. So this eliminates an objection. I think just offering it puts you in discussion with the attorneys and with the heirs or personal representatives. And the other part I would say is attorneys aren't salespeople, but they appreciate when we help their customers commit to signing up with them. So sometimes the attorney will meet with a customer and think everything's fine. But when I would call the customer and say, well, I don't have the money, so I'm shopping for other options, looking for a free attorney, looking for an online attorney. I say, well, what if I could get rid of the cash being an objection? I can get you the money in advance, would you? They're maybe going to get $500,000, $800,000 in California on a property. The fee for a $10,000 advance is nominal in terms of if you can get it and get it right away. And I think the other thing that I've experienced is getting the right attorney will save the customer tens of thousands of dollars to where the fees are relevant. If they shop for the attorney for the lowest upfront cost, they're going to get the worst attorney for the cheapest fee. But they can get the best attorney in the business because the best attorney doesn't need the advance. They'll get it from ProbateCash, and that solves the problem. So I really try to be the sales staff for the attorneys that refer me business.
And that really leads to our other question here. It's about attorneys. This person was wondering, because attorneys do get a percentage of the total probate, does attorneys not like this? And I know we kind of touched on that about working with attorneys.
Well, attorneys get...
Go ahead, Bill.
Well, in California, attorneys, there's a statute that limits how much attorneys can get based on a percentage of the gross estate. So what I mean by that is, this is just my last name, but if they have a house, let's say worth $1 million, the fees are limited by law to no more than 4% of the first, whatever, and 3% of the next. You can Google it, but it's $23,000 on $1 million estate. That $1 million estate can have a $900,000 mortgage on it or a zero mortgage on it. It's the same fee to the attorney. So the probate cash is nothing to do with the estate. Really, it's money being paid to one of the heirs, meaning if there's 4 heirs on $1 million estate, each is going to get $250. Any of them can choose to get the advance. Now, if one of the heirs is the personal rep and they use it for the estate, they can get reimbursed the money they advance as well as the percentage of the fee to the extent it's used for the estate. So it doesn't come out of the attorney's fees at all if you explain it to them properly, number one. Number two, attorneys, especially in California, are very progressive, politically, whatever that means to you. But to me, what that means is if you gave somebody $10,000 and charge them $1, they're going to see it's too much interest. And so what I try to say is, yes, it's interest, it's expensive, but look what they're going to get. They're going to get you instead of an online attorney who's going to do a lousy job. That's the value to the consumer. The key is what the consumer gets out of it, not a net, what gets charged. And I think in that sense, in my experience, are there people who get advances and waste the money? I'm sure. I'm sure you had clients who took your money and bought cocaine and had a party and lost it all. It's a shame. But I know plenty of your customers who, because they got your money, work with great attorneys and got a probate settled in 9 months or a year instead of 5 years and got great legal service or avoided litigation. That's what I try to do and help them do.
Yeah, in our experience, working with lawyers is mainly a positive one. Certainly lawyers who are gonna, we have a network of lawyers who market for probate, and they are referring us the potential clients that are contacting them, but who can't afford to pay the retainers. And so they love it because we're advancing the money so they have the retainers up front. Now, I know in California, there's there are laws that definitely limit how much they can get up front. And in California, they're getting most of their money on the back end. But the other reason why lawyers like our business, or at least don't dislike our business, is that just like beneficiaries may be calling the personal representative to see what's going on in like with the sale of the home, or what's going on, when am I going to get my money from the probate, they're also calling the lawyers constantly. These are the beneficiaries who the lawyers don't represent the beneficiaries. The lawyers only represent the estate. So they're really talking just the personal representative. Yet their office is getting calls left and right from other beneficiaries. And the fact of the matter is the beneficiaries need money, and our customers have no other resources to get that money. And I tell people, and I'll tell you guys too, if the customers you're dealing with have other ways to get money, they should not get it from us. Our fees are very expensive. It's non-recourse. We do in California, the court does have to make a finding at the end that our fees are reasonable, and never had one not paid at all. And those are judicial oversight in the probate court, and as Bill mentioned, a very progressive state. So beneficiaries or lawyers are referring those beneficiaries to us because it makes their phone stop. And let's not forget, the beneficiaries also, I mean, they need money to live. And but in other ways, the lawyers also want their the estate. You're talking about the percentage of the lawyers get paid on the percentage of the estate assets. Well, if a $20,000, $30,000 of repairs on a house and get that house to sell for substantially more money, that benefits everybody too. Now the estate is worth more money, and that comes from using our cash. So that's most of the time lawyers like us. There's some that don't, but as we're talking about, it's important that everybody understands what we're doing, what the tool is, how it's used. Because if people think that we're a cash checking store in the back alley, then I can understand why there could be a negative image. But that's not who we are. And that more you guys know, the better.
Well, that's great. And speaking, I think we got to everyone's questions. If we didn't, please, if you think of it afterwards, just let me know. You can reach out to Mark or Bill. I'm going to give you both their contact information. We will be sending up a follow-up email with an e-brochure for ProbateCash and a link to this webinar. So if you would like to ask questions offline, or if somehow we missed it, please call Mark at 561-476-0018, or you can email him at Mark, and that's MARC @probatecash.com. You can also contact Bill, and you can call him at 310-210-0008, or you can email him at bill@thelaprobateexpert.com, or you can find him on all his social media channels at Bill Gross Probate. Is that right, Bill? You got all?
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Well, then, thank you so much for everyone for attending, and please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.